Hey there, everybody. It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of Tyler Perry's comedy drama, ZATIMA, Season 3, Episode 1, Counting the Cost, and Season 3, Episode 2, Brother's Keeper. So I think these two episodes were pretty good. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about it, and we will get a conversation started. Now, this episode starts off with basically a very brief recap, a reminder of what took place in season 2 of Zatima. So then it starts off with a scene where Fatima is leaving out of the bathroom. She's heading to work when she sees Zach laying in the bed and she's considering whether she should wake him up or not. And she keeps walking, but Zach says, I know you're not leaving without saying goodbye to me, and he was already awake, but he tried to pretend he was asleep. So anyway, she sits there and they talk and they take time to discuss Zach going to see Dr. Reed about how he's feeling or not sure what he's feeling right now. We got Fatima. They talk about her being pregnant and baby names. They talk about Zach being in the red. I guess his bank account, a business account in the red, and she's offering to front him some money, and he's like, no, no, no. And then we do learn that Bryce did get the money from his father, but he's still in the red. Then they mentioned Bryce and Gary, but they don't expand on that. And then he talks, Zach and Fatima talk about planning a funeral, and she's saying maybe they could do it together. And he's like, yeah, I figured your family know a lot about funerals. And she's like, you got jokes, huh? He's like, yeah, whatever. And then Fatima, she's basically not wanting to leave him alone and go to work, but he's like, he'll be good. Then we see Preston. He stops by and he's met by Deja out in the driveway. And Deja's telling him to go ahead in and knock on the door because they're awake. But Preston's like, he'll wait because it's still early and stuff. So Deja is basically just being Deja. She's flirting with Preston and everything's telling him he fine and all that stuff. And she love his boots and all that stuff. And she like a man with patience and all that stuff. Then Fatima comes out and Deja rushes into her apartment. She said, yeah, you better get out of here, Fatima says. And then she goes, you're, Danny's Preston, right? You're Preston. And he's like, not Danny's anymore, just Preston. So we understand this part. So she's like, what are you doing here? And he heard about Zach's mom, asks how he's doing. And she tells him, why don't he just go in there and ask him himself? And she lets him into the house. And then Zach comes downstairs to meet him. Yo, what's up? They talking and everything. But Zach is acting all strange. He said, I'm just trying to be here for you. Like, he's like, why are you here? What makes you, why are you here? And he's like, oh, he heard out about his mom. And he said, how'd you hear? He said, Danny posted something. And he's basically saying, oh, he said, Danny just posted that for attention. He's like, well, whatever she posted it for, it got me here. So he said, I'm just trying to be here for you. You want to hang out? And then Zach has to tell him and break down the whole thing that happened with Bryce. And they go through this whole thing where there's certain words they can't use. They can't hang together. They can't chill together. They can't. He said, come with me. You can't come together. You can't. All these words that he's like, no, because, Zach was just being ridiculous. He really was being ridiculous. So Preston was like, you don't have to worry about me trying to kiss you. You don't have to worry about none of that, okay? I'm not that dude. So Zach finally finds a way to say, why don't you just relocate yourself with me over there? Yeah, I was like, Zach is being ridiculous. Because he's saying when Preston was talking about hanging and chilling and all that stuff, he's like, bet. And then he said, bet. He's like, when you start talking like that and telling him he can't say certain words because then next he'll be saying nigga and all. And Preston's like, I'm not going to say any of that, dude. So Zach was just being ridiculous. So next we have a scene with Connie, and she asks Nathan and Tony to come and see her, and she lets them know about that insurance policy thing that Miss Gladys had her as the executor, and she don't know what to do. She don't know what the procedure is, and they realizing the issue is Jeremiah. Jeremiah seems to be the issue, and after they talk and discuss it, they decide maybe she need to go and see Fatima first. And she said she wanted to talk to Fatima in person versus, over the phone. And Tony said he'll get her address to her job or something like that for him. But Nathan was still like, he didn't want to, I don't think so. That's not good. She's this, she's that. And it was like, dude, you just apologized to her a few days ago. What's up? He said, I meant that apology, but you know what? He said, matter of fact, it might be a good idea. Yeah, tell her we gonna see what she about. And Tony's like, well, you trying to like see if she conniving and all of this stuff, you know. So Connie was like, she was on the same page as that as well, as far as talking to Fatima. So that's what they decided that they're going to do. Well, Connie's going to do it. So next we have Fatima arriving to work and who's in the parking garage, but Angela, and they meet up and they're talking and they get into the office and who's there but Connie with her long braids sitting there. And they're like, they were supposed to go for coffee, but they didn't because she's there and she's like, I need to talk to you, Fatima. You know, she's talking in her little ghetto way and stuff. And Fatima's like, you can't just be walking up in my job like that and whatever. But anyway, Fatima takes her back to the office because she told her it was something that had to do with Zach and Jeremiah. She needed Fatima's help because she doesn't know all of this stuff. You know my background. I don't know this stuff. So they're in the office and they're talking and she lets her know about the insurance policy. She wants to sign it over to Fatima so Fatima could do everything. Fatima's like, no, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And then she's like, you know what would happen, you know, with Jeremiah, if he got his hands on this. She said, yeah, everybody's aware that he would get high and, you know, with all the fentanyl and everything out there with all that money, you know, and in one lump sum. So she was supposed to split it between Zach and Fatima. I mean, and Jeremiah, but she wanted Fatima maybe to give him a little bit at a time and stuff like that. So that's what they were discussing. And bottom line, Fatima told her she'll talk to Zach about it because she was letting Connie know that, you know, funerals are expensive. Connie said, what, like $1,500? She said, no, like $20,000. She's like, damn, really? So they're saying much might not even be left after that because Zach is trying to pay for the funeral. So she told her to see her way out. You know, the way she saw her way in there. And it was funny because Connie doing the walk in, trying to walk like she cute up in the office and everything. And Fatima's telling her roll it back, like stop all of that nonsense and all that stuff. But when she left, Angela's right there. Does Angela actually work there with her now? You know, I'm getting confused. Does she work in that office? Because she's always at it, at Fatima's office. So anyway, as soon as Connie leaves, Angela's right there asking questions. Is Zach all right? What's going on? Da da da. Ask him. She's so nosy. She is so nosy. She better worry about Bryce. That's all I gotta say. But we did find out. Oh, in the parking lot. I don't remember if I said it. But Bryce did not get that money from his father yet. He did not get that money as of yet from his father. I thought when Fatima and Zach were talking earlier that they said he did get it. So I stand corrected. Unless the script is wrong, that's what I just heard, that he did not get the money as of yet. And Fatima's like asking Angela about it. Angela's like, he ain't my man no more. I don't know. You know, she just, so anywho. So now we have Zach getting to his office with Preston and he's showing him around a little bit. And Bryce comes in there and he's like, Zach want to know where his money is, you know, and Bryce, Bryce is just like, my dad is gonna send it. He's sending it today. He acting like he all scared and petrified. And Preston's just sitting there on the couch looking. And so Bryce wants to know, basically trying to see who Preston is. And Zach is like you don't need to know who that is. And he's like, he just shakes his hand. Preston shakes his hand. And then Bryce goes out. He's like, look, dude, get my money. You know, that's what Zach is telling him. So when he leaves, Preston's asking him, is Bryce the dude? He said, because you were real rude to him. Is he the one? And he's like, the one what? You know, Zach trying to act like he don't know. I was like, why is Zach treating Preston like that? I was just kind of getting annoyed with the way Zach was treating Preston. But then I was like, maybe that's how Zach treated Preston on Sisters. And I'm just forgetting it. Put it down in the comment section if anybody remembers. Maybe it's me who's off. So anyway, then Preston is asking, telling Zach that he had, he had money. Did he need money or something like that? And Zach is not thinking that Preston got any money because of the way he dressed and the car he drives and all that stuff. See, that's what about our people. Us colored people, we like to be driving fancy cars and all this stuff, and then we go home to an apartment. A little. We don't own nothing, don't have nothing, but we got this $40,000, $50,000 car we driving. Don't make no sense. Okay, whereas our cousins, the white people, they will drive a raggedy car and have a freaking big house. They will park a raggedy car in their driveway and have a house. Because I had a lot of white friends who did that. And that's what they do. They get the house first. The write off. They get the write off first before they go buy a fancy car. Just a little something that some of y'all might not realize about us. Anywho, Zach is all in Preston's business trying to find out how much money he got. And he said, we're not discussing that, but if you need money, let me know. He asks him about real estate and how's the business going, yada, yada, yada. Zach is saying that he can't even afford to bury his mama because Bryce got to owe him this money, got to get this money back, all this stuff. They get into a big, Bryce coming in, Zach and Bryce go off on each other, and Preston's in the middle trying to stop them from fighting. And he's like, how much you need? I'll give it to you. How much you need? And Zach is like, look, you don't listen, don't listen. And he's yelling at Bryce. Then Bryce tried to yell back at him. I said, Bryce got a lot of nerve. Look, I'm going to go talk to my father now. I'm going to talk to him because now his father's thinking about it. He thought he could do it. He might be able to do it. I mean, Bryce is coming up with all this messy mess. He ain't got no excuse other than he ain't got that money for Zach. And Zach's like, how am I supposed to bury my mother? He was pissed. So anyway, Bryce left out the room, and then Preston is trying to talk to Zach, and Zach is doing his breathing and all this stuff. And Preston's like, what the what? Anyway, then it flips over to Fatima. She's getting a call from Dad, Connie. Now we know how Jeremiah found out, because they were saying Jeremiah found gonna read the mail. He's always checking that mailbox looking for a check. That's what Tony and Nathan were saying before. And they were like, he'll probably read the mail and find out that there's a policy because they already sent it out, Connie said to them. So anyway, Connie's telling Fatima that Jeremiah already knows. She told him that you and Zach gonna take care of it and stuff. So she done told Jeremiah where Fatima works. I mean, Connie's stupid. She talking about, I can't have him messing around being, hurting my kids and all this stuff. She said, wait. Fatima said, wait, you think he gonna hurt your kids? She's like, well, he a good dude, but when he on that shit, he start acting up. So Fatima's like, fine, whatever. So now it's the end of the day. Fatima's going to her car in the parking garage, and who shows up but Jeremiah? And he's like, Connie told me that you had the money, that you and Zach had the money, and I need the money. Give me the money. And she's like, I don't have the money. What are you talking about? I don't know why she told you that. She said, I'm not doing that with you. You're high and everything. I can't. And he takes off his hat, puts it in his pocket, and he's like, look, I need that money. That money, she said you're supposed to be paying for the funeral with it, but I need that money. And he starts rubbing his head and stepping closer. And she said, look, we could go to the house together and talk to Zach about, nah, Zach ain't going to talk to me right. Nah, we can't do that. Give me that money. Give me the money. And she's like, Jeremiah can't do that. And he's like pulling the bag and pulling, and he yanks it and slams her up against the car. And he said, see, I told you don't mess with me with my bunny. And it went off like that. So that's the way that episode ended. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about this episode. And I will see you all in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. So now this is season 3, episode 2. And this episode starts off with a bang, because we have Jeremiah who done knocked Fatima out, throwing her up against a car trying to get money. And he's like, oh my God, oh my God. He said, I told you I needed the money. And he's like looking in her bag, digging in her bag. Where's the money? Where's the money? Then he's like, oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God. Tima, you okay? I'm sorry, Tima. You know I got a problem. And she's knocked out on the ground. Meanwhile, Angela's on the phone walking down in the garage talking to probably Sean or whatever. Is he coming over her house or not? Or all this stuff, making plans with him. And back over to Jeremiah, who's like, there ain't no money in here. So he gonna go in her pocketbook and go in her wallet and take the money. Talk about he gonna take what money she got. To like, I got a problem. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. And he putting in his pocket. He put his hat back on like he gonna leave. And then all of a sudden, here's Angela coming up in there, and she sees it, and she's like, oh snap, and she hang up, and she run over there. What did you do, Fatima, what you do to her? And Jeremiah is acting like he don't know. I ain't do nothing. And she's like, I'm gonna call the police. He's like, I ain't do nothing. She said, you trying to rob her? You was robbing her? So she get on there calling 911, and he trying to run. She said, you think I don't know who you are, Jeremiah? I know who you are. And he takes off. And Angela calls the ambulance, and she asks for the police as well. So now when the episode comes back on, we have Fatima sitting in the back of an ambulance, and Angela's there standing there with her. And Fatima said, the paramedic said, me and the baby are okay, and da-da. And Angela's like, a baby? Girl, you pregnant? And Fatima's like, oh, like I forgot to tell her. And she tells her she's in her first trimester and all this stuff. And Angela wants her to go get checked, go to the hospital. She might have internal bleeding. They doing all this talking. We ain't see one damn paramedic. Where the paramedics, y'all? At least they could have had a paramedic just show up and say, you're fine, you and the baby are doing well, or something like that. They could have had it done, just to make it look legit, because they do all of this talking, and Fatima is saying, do not call Zach, because, Angela wants to call Zach, especially when she's sitting there, when Fatima lying to her saying that she just fainted, when she's like, girl, you gonna lie up in my face? I saw Jeremiah. I know he did it. She's like, tell the truth. Tell me the truth. She said, yeah, he did it. And she's like, what happened? And she's telling her a little bit of what happened. And she's like, we need to have Zach know. She's like, no, I'm trying. She said, why are you trying to protect Jeremiah? She said, I'm not. I'm trying to protect Zach, because Zach gonna kill him. And I don't want Zach to go back to jail. And she was dead all right about that, because Zach is going to kill him, especially when he finds out this stuff. But she's like, you got a mark on your head, because she thought she could just hide it. But she's like, your clothes are messed up. You got that bruise on your head. She's like, what? She's looking. She sees that. So Fatima decides she's going to call Zach, find out what time Zach coming home. I guess she's going to rush home and try to cover up the bruise and everything before he gets there. So Angela's pissed. Angela wants to follow her, just to make sure she's able to drive and can get home safely. Still no paramedics showing up, though. I still don't get it. But anyway, Fatima's like, no, because you're going to be looking at me funny, and then Zach's going to know something's up. So she's like, okay, fine. So Fatima left, and Angela was pissed. But at least Angela was being a good friend and making sure. I think I got to give her kudos for that. So now we have Zach and Preston in Zach's office. And Bryce comes in. And of course, Bryce said his father said he couldn't get it, because Zach is like, so what's up? Where's the money? And he's like, his father can't do it, and he keeps saying he's sorry. And Zach is like, you keep saying you're sorry, like that's changing something. You said it's sorry. He's like, maybe you say it 10 more times, a bunch of money will fall from the sky. You keep saying you're sorry. What does that mean? And he's like, I'll give you what I got, all I got. He wanted to give him his credit cards. He was like, you want me to pay for my mother's funeral on your credit cards? He said, that's all I got. He's like, okay, give me the cards. He's like, he said, give it to me. He's like, he trying to give him the card. He said, give me the whole wallet. He took the wallet. Zach is pissed. He said, I'm in a bind. I kept telling you don't do it, and you did it anyway. And Zach just got frustrated and left out of the office. Meanwhile, Preston and Bryce are standing there, and Preston asked what happened, what's going on, and he wanted to look at the information about their property, the real estate property. He asked Bryce to tell him everything that happened, and he said, how much you in the hole? He said $3 million. Bryce really effed up, and he trying to put it on Gary. And Preston's like, so you did this after he told you no? And he said, yeah. He said, but it's a 50-50 partnership. And he's like, yeah, but he told you no? And he told him about Gary, and then Gary pulled out and all this stuff. And he's like, no wonder he's mad, So Preston said, I could pay for his mother's funeral, but that's about all I could do. Sorry, I couldn't do more. He said, you could do that? He was like, oh, that'd be great. That's great. He said, well, I figure I'll tell him once he calmed down. I said, you right about that, because Zach is pissed. So now we in the hood, and we got Connie, Nate, and Tony playing cards. And Belinda walks up in there, all cute and stuff, up in the hood, right? Trying to be cute. And they like, what you doing here? And she's like, well, I asked somebody to bring me lunch, and they was like, we playing cards. I can't do it. She said, how long y'all been playing cards? So obviously Belinda and Connie kind of know each other or know of each other, but they don't know each other like that. So anyway, and she's like, I know y'all not playing for money. This is Belinda, so I'll deal me in the next hand. Something like that. So they were talking about Fatima and how you can't get close to Zach. And, they told, the guys told the story about what happened with Belinda and Fatima, saying she almost caught a bullet and stuff. And Belinda wasn't trying to tell it. So then the next thing, they was like, look, nobody getting next to Zach. He said Connie used to have him wrapped around his finger, and she don't have him no more. So she said all he's doing is checking for Fatima, and she's right about that. And Belinda's like, I don't know about that. I said, see, that's why she get herself in trouble. So next thing they see Jeremiah walking by and asking what's going on. And he's like, I ain't do nothing. I ain't do nothing. So he already sounded guilty. He said, you lied to me, Connie. You told me she had the money. She said, I did not. Get your story right. I told you that they was gonna her and Zach were gonna take care of it or something like that. She said, I told you you need to go talk to them. I ain't tell you had the money. Well, I ain't do nothing. They was like, yo, Tony was like, what you mean you ain't do nothing? What you do? And they all turning around. Connie's like, what you do? I don't know. I ain't do nothing. And come to find out, they like, I think he did something, So now they like, we got to do something. Belinda's like, well, we going to have to call. He's like, what you talking about you calling? Don't call nobody. And first of all, Nate had to tell her, first of all, Fatima don't even like you, so you ain't coming with us. They want to go and see what's going on, and they're telling her not to go. And she's like, you going to leave me in the hood by myself? He said, you drove here. Drive your ass back home. I'll meet you there. But she want to be involved and go there and act like she care so much about Zach, because she's hearing all the stuff that Zach been through, how his mother been on drugs all her life. And she's like, yo, I didn't know Zach went through that. That's when she started trying to act like she down, she trying to get with Zach and all, it was all of that. Anyway, Tony and Connie kept telling Nathan, come on, we ain't got time for this. And Nathan too busy arguing with Belinda, and she's like, I'm gonna be bringing my other man over and all this stuff. He said, what other man? Let me find out. I'm the one. I'm the only one, and all this stuff. And next thing they leave, and Belinda tiptoeing behind them, talking about she going with them. I was like, girl, mind your business. Stop trying to be all up in Zach's life. So now we see Angela coming home, and Bryce is standing in front of her house. He's leaning on his car, whatever. And he wants to talk, and she's like, about what? She said, it has to be quick. I got company coming on. He's like, you got company? And she's like, yeah. He said, well, can we just talk for a minute? She's like, fine, come in. So she's walking, and he's walking behind her. And I said, damn, he looked like a serial killer. Am I wrong? He looked like he could be like somebody who bash her head up against the wall before she could get to her door. And I don't know. The way Bryce is looking right now, he looked like he could be a loose cannon and just lose it on somebody. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm seeing. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. But then he gets into her house, and he acting like he gonna ask her for some money. She's like, what? I know you not. She's like, Miss Angela could put together some coins. He said, really? In the millions? She's like, damn, that's what it is? No, I can't help you. He's like, I gotta do something. She said, you right, you do. Like, this ain't my problem, it's yours. So she's telling him he gotta go. And he's like, but why? I need you. And you hear knocking at the door. And it's Sean. So she opens the door, and he's like, this dude, this is it. You gonna turn me away? And when I need you the most, it's like, yes, I am. You gotta go. Bye. So Bryce leaves, and Sean is like, hold up, because she's like ready to take him to the bedroom. And she's like, hold up, what's going on? Who's this guy to you? Nothing, nobody. He said he gotta be somebody. He's here awful lot. And he's like, he's not. And then she started, don't we have good times together? And don't we have this? And he's talking about, Sean is talking about his feelings and how he feels and how she treats him like he's a piece of meat. And that's basically what he is to her. And she's like, don't we have fun together and all this stuff? I didn't bring your pretty ass here so we could just talk. And, she's like, come on. So they finally leave to go up to the bedroom. He said, your phone is ringing. Oh, it's just Belinda. I'll talk to her later. Why Belinda calling? See, Belinda all up in it. But see, she should have answered it, because then she could have told Belinda, Fatima doesn't want Zach to know. But she didn't answer it because, Angela's all about herself as well as Belinda. So now the next thing we see, Angela's in her nightgown, and she's calling back Belinda. I was like, what did they do? A super quickie or something like that? I mean, how far does Zach live from the hood that they still driving there, whereas Angela done had sex with somebody, and now she's up here calling back Belinda. And Belinda's acting like did you hear what happened in Fatima? She said, I know you know. She said, I don't know nothing. She's like, what do you know? And then she had Belinda tell her, and Belinda said, you know, I'm going to find out. And so Belinda telling what Jeremiah said, that Fatima fell and he didn't do it. So they up there going to talk to Zach now. And she's like, what? Oh, shit. And she's like, I'll call you back. She hangs up and she tells Belinda to stay out of it. Belinda's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so she calls Fatima. That's Angela calls Fatima and let Fatima know what's going down. So anyway, Fatima tries to call Tony, but Tony doesn't answer. And then she calls Zach, and Zach says he's pulling up in the driveway now. And she's like, okay. Then she calls Angela back, and Angela's like already dressed in the car. I said, how'd she jump out of her nightgown and everything and in the car in like 2 minutes? I don't see Angela moving that fast. They like cutting this thing up real quick. Meanwhile, she done got home, had sex, and got dressed and in the car to Fatima's house. And Tony, Connie, and Nathan ain't made it there yet. I'm just saying. So the episode ends with Fatima and Angela still on the phone. And then Fatima goes to the front door to open it to see where Zach is. And she's like, oh, and she's like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong? And she was like, oh, just hurry up here, hurry up here. And Fatima goes out there and you see Zach turn his head and he's smiling at her. So we don't know what's going on, but that's the way it ended. So y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode down in the comment section. I thought this episode was pretty good as well. And hopefully next week will be as good. It's moving quickly. Everything's going real smooth. But I'm still waiting for more excitement, and we'll see what happens. At least they're not fighting with each other. And that's the best part right now. So I will see you all in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.